Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Sunday late afternoon episode of Ted's Booze Cellar with me, your most gracious host Ted. Welcome to the premier alcohol review show here on YouTube. It is currently just before 5:20 on the 28th of July 2024. I hope I'm finding you all in a good state of affairs, and if I'm not, then I hope things improve very soon. And I hope you've all got a good week ahead to make use of what is going to hopefully be continuously lovely weather. But to make the most of what little bit of the weather we have left today, me and Big Phil are, of course, reviewing an alcohol indoors.
Yes,
because we're both.
indeed.
Because I am very pasty and I burn very easily.
With the blinds down.
Well, that's just so we don't blot out the camera too much with the lighting. So
that's fair. We're not J.J. Abrams with our lens flares.
Oh god, yeah. Although to be fair, I do like his Star Trek films.
I do like them as well.
They're not amazing, but like they are fairly decent.
Yeah.
So, today we're going to be reviewing a drink that Phil has gotten me to try before, but one that we haven't reviewed before. And this is going to be a bit of a unique one because it's basically, well, why didn't you give a bit of a prelude to it?
Sure, right. Well, as you know, we had it when we reached Chichester on our last cycling trip. As a bit of a congratulations to ourselves. And this is, in fact, a brandy, so certainly the sort of thing that one ought to drink when one is feeling in a self-congratulatory mood. However, I do not feel in a particularly congratulatory mood at the moment because this is basically the last bottle. This is the Ted's Booze Cellar review of the drink that you will never taste.
Yeah, and what kind of a brandy is it? Because it's not just your standard brandy.
No, it isn't. So it's made by a little artisanal distillery in Oranienburg. And yeah, one day I just walked into one of the little local shops that sells it and saw there were only 2 bottles left and was told that those were the last there would be because the place had shut down due to COVID and just the generally precarious nature of operating a craft distillery, even more so than a craft brewery. So this is a brandy made of grapes from the company now sadly defunct Whiskyland Oranienburg. And it is made from ripened wine distillate, so basically the dregs of the wine brewing process, as you know, many brandies are. But yeah, it's also given a dose of dried wine grapes and is basically brewed. It's left to sit in an old sherry cask.
And I remember
whiskey casks
when we tried it on that Chichester cycling trip, I remarked how like fruity it was compared to other brandies. Obviously, some brandies can be quite fruity because obviously some of them are fermented in wine casks. But even more so with this one in particular, it is very grapey, but it's also weirdly plummy as well. I remember.
Yes, it is. I mean, it doesn't say anything about there being plums on it, but.
I mean, it might have just been me in my mind's eye, just kind of like playing tricks on me, really.
Possibly. I mean, it might also be the oaky notes from the wood casks.
Good shout.
Because they would also have used old whiskey casks as well to ferment this, because they really like to mix and match their casks in this one. Sadly, I never actually got to go and see the brewery in action, or the distillery rather.
Now let's get a bit closer up to the camera so people can see a bit more clearly what it looks like on the camera. The label has been chipped off a little bit, but generally it's a pretty handsome looking bottle in general terms, but what I think really stands out to me is actually the cream colour of the label there, because it stands out really nicely against the black writing and the really sort of quite almost autumnal picture of the grapes there. But overall, very handsome looking. I think I'll give the design of the bottle and the label a 10 out of 10. I don't know what you think.
I think so too. I'm a particular fan of the old sort of Art Nouveau simplified font, such as you would get on the front of the Flying Scotsman and stuff, with this very simple straight line font with sharp edges on the corners. And in general, that and the hand drawn picture of the grapes on the side just convey this image of an old sort of Prussian aristocracy, which is very much in keeping with the heavily forested area of Oranienburg itself, with its fine old manor houses and so on. And it's got a nice wooden top as well.
Yeah, it's not even plastic. So yeah, I'll definitely give that a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, definitely. And it's got a fine shape to it as well. I like the almost demijohn shape of the bottle itself. So it's really good at holding in the nose of the drink until we pour it.
So what about your numerical rating?
I would also give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, fair enough. Now, let's do the usual nose in the bottle and then nose in the glass. So, quick first impression one. I mean, I've already had this, but it's just been a while since I've had it. Okay. So, it has got a bit of a harshness to it when you initially sort of smell it in. But then it kind of sort of like smoothens out and you get kind of this vanilla-y nose that's combined with all those sort of like fruity flavours. It kind of does have an underlying harshness to it. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10, but what do you think really quickly?
Yeah, I think I would actually, in the bottle, I would probably give it like 7.5 out of 10. So close your eyes and it smells like any other sort of almost wine, really. It's hard to even tell that it's that much stronger.
Okay.
So it kind of sells itself short, I think, inside the bottle.
Do you think? I don't know. I guess like the reason why I'm lowering the points, I guess it doesn't have as much room to breathe. But I think my main problem with it is there is this underlying harshness. So I'm going to go probably like same as you, probably like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think. Yeah. So let's.
But it's still good. It's not an unpleasant smell by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the Titanic glass then to have yours in.
Thank you.
So fill it up about halfway. So you give it a sniff and tell me what your impressions are of it in the glass at least. I'll give myself about 20 millilitres.
Yeah. I like it a bit more in the glass. It's understated in the glass, but not unpleasant. It's more of a richer wooden flavour.
Yeah, it's
much from the cask.
It's much of the same. There's, like you said, a bit of like a wooden, almost like oakiness to it, and the harshness is there, but it's more of like a fieriness now, rather than it just being like very harsh. And yeah, it's just generally a lot smoother as well. So
yeah, it's the fieriness of a good wine rather than fieriness of a rough vodka.
Oh yeah, there's also a marzipan-esque kind of like after smell a little bit almost. So I'll give it. I was going to give it an 8.5, but I'll give the nose in the glass a 9 actually.
And sadly, I don't really know too much about the ingredients in this particular one. I might do some research and then we can put it in the description. But there's not much on the label itself. Yeah, just because it was about to fall over there. Yeah.
But what do you think of the nose in the glass as a numerical rating then?
I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's not the nicest I've smelled, it's not the most intense, but it's nice enough and it's there.
I think that's probably the best way to go. It smells great, but like there's just a little bit of extra pizzazz or extra balance I think it's missing. But it smells great though. The after smell, it's got this really weird almondy, marzipan-esque kind of after smell. I don't know what it's coming from, but it really is unique. It's such an interesting nose, but yeah, it smells lovely. But I think 9 out of 10 for both of us in the glass. So
yes.
Before we see what this properly tastes like, quick old palate cleanser. So if you just grab yours. And remember, especially in this hot summer heat, whenever you're out drinking, do remember to drink some water in between at least every 1 or 2 drinks that you have, all right? So be responsible.
Hydrate or dehydrate.
Exactly. I mean, well, quite literally in this heat.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway. Cheers, and to everyone at home, I hope you have a great week ahead and you make the most of the weather. Cheers.
Cheers.
Very relaxing.
Yeah.
It's really easy to go down as a shot, but I feel like we should try it as a sipping drink in a second. I think as a shot, it has a real hard fieriness to it. Not harsh per se, just very sort of full on and intense, but it does complement the kind of sort of fruitiness, that slight sort of like almost marzipan-esque tinge to it that I mentioned earlier in the nose. That is definitely there in the underlying currents of the flavours. The main through line though is this brandy-ish, slightly winey, almost the wine aspect of it almost feels like I'm drinking mead because it's a bit syrupy.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's a good point.
But no, it's the main through line is this fiery but like warming and calming brandy flavour combined with grapes, a little bit of like an almondiness, a little bit of a plumminess, and that oaky aftertaste. Really, really nicely balanced. It's really, really nice. I'll give the if you have it as a shot, I would say probably like 8.5 or between 8.5 to 9 out of 10. What do you think?
I would give it a 9.5. I mean, I think that, this is just one of my personal favourite drinks. I think, adding to what you said, the sweetness is definitely there, but it's not excessive.
Well, thy shot glass just smashed, but I'll get a new one in a sec. But yeah, sorry, do continue.
Yeah, I think that the sweetness is not excessive the way it can be with some meads. So there's not the notes of, it's not honey notes, it's more a case of fruity sweetness notes. Like you said earlier, like it might have plums in it. I don't believe it does, but it's reminiscent of plum flavour.
Well, I have a plastic party shot glass here just in case I want to try some more. But,
yeah, so I would say, just to describe it as it goes down, it warms your tongue and the insides of your cheeks rather than burning the back of your throat.
Yes, that is true. It's the burning sensation, I should have clarified, isn't really the same as you would find in a normal rum or brandy. It kind of does, yeah, like you said, it kind of starts straight away and then it sort of peters out towards the end. And it sort of doesn't really sort of concentrate at the end, even though the aftertaste and once you've swallowed it down, it is quite fiery. It's not super, super harsh in that aspect.
Yeah. It makes you exhale a long, satisfied breath rather than take a sharp intake of breath.
Yeah, exactly. Can I pour a little bit more to try it as a sipping drink?
Please do.
And if you want a bit more, obviously, just
I won't say no.
Okay, so now we're going to try it as a sipping drink, I think, because even though, yes, it is principally as a shot, I think sometimes with some certain spirits you do kind of have to sip them a bit to get a different aspect to them, or at least to get a different perspective on them. So I wonder if we sip it instead, if the taste experience or the mouthfeel will be any different. So I'll just quickly palate cleanse a bit. And then, let's see, so straight shot, I'd say 8.5 or 9.
Yeah.
But sipping, you do get that burny sensation, but it's much more reduced, and so you kind of get more of like the caramelised, kind of fruity flavours in there, with a bit of vanilla and not so much that marzipan-esque flavour, but there's still a bit of the oakiness. So it kind of, to me, it kind of feels like when you're taking it as a shot, it's more like a brandy as we would know it, but when you're sipping it, it kind of feels like a cross between a brandy, a particularly fruity mead, and almost like one of those old German herbal liqueurs, like in the terms of like not the flavour or necessarily in the mouthfeel, but that kind of sensation after you've just had it.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one, but it's really nice as a sipping drink though. What do you think?
I think so, definitely. I mean, I've got a hip flask full of this that I take on long walks and stuff.
Yeah, fair.
So, yeah, if you need something to get you up a mountain or through a forest, this will do the job. Yes, as Ted says, it's a reduced warming sensation, but in some ways it leaves a longer aftertaste in a way if you sip it. So
yeah,
I think it loses some of the nutty flavour in exchange for a syrupy, fruity flavour.
Yeah, the fruitiness is definitely more accentuated, but at the same time, like more drawn out when you sip it. Whereas when you have it as a shot, it's much more intense and concentrated. So, no, it's got a bunch of different flavour profiles that work together in different ways, depending on how you drink it.
Yeah, you can take it as a shot and get that sort of really nice, warm tingling throughout your mouth. You can take a sort of relatively small sip and you'll get that nice fireness and a sort of fruity aftertaste. Or you can take the tiniest sip, little drop on the tip of your tongue, and you will get just the fruitiness with no burn whatsoever.
Yes, that's actually a really good point. I didn't notice that. Yeah, when I just tapped it on my tongue a bit, there was no burning sensation at all.
No.
That's really weird.
Yeah, so you get the pure syrupy fruitiness of it, and yeah, it is, brandy made from the dregs of wine, so you've got almost a sourness from that, but then they've balanced that out by adding in the dried grapes. So they've taken away the sourness of the wine detritus.
Yeah, it's kind of like combining the best of both, like straightforward, simple wine and sort of more artisanal brandy. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. It's the most unique brandy, at least, that I've ever had. It's really fascinating. But what would you give it as a sipping drink then? As a numerical rating?
Honestly, I mean, there are drinks that I prefer in, chugging it back, or in sort of taking generous gulps as I'm sitting, like maybe a Talisker whiskey or something like that. But as far as a drink where I just take the occasional sip would go, I think this one is my favourite, or hold a special place in my heart, as indeed all of Whiskyland's drinks did. So I would give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's only fair, since I brought it on the show.
Yeah, I think as a sipping drink, it's a 10 for me as well. I think this is an all-timer. As a shot, I feel like it is nice, but it's just very intense for me. But I think as a sipping drink, it's top 2 or top 3 in all honesty. It's really, really nice, so I would agree with you. As a sipping drink, it's a 10 for sure. Oh god, and it does just feel like a real shame now that you mentioned how the microbrewery is closed down that we're not going to get any more of this. Is there any similar places to this in Germany that people can check out?
There are, yes. There's another couple of sort of microbreweries in more towards the south of Berlin, in distilleries. But Germans in general are quite adaptable, and they quite like Scottish whiskies. So there's a fair few whiskies available. German Christmas markets are a great place to check these things out, and you will usually find something interesting there.
So I guess that's a point to make. If you're ever in Munich or Berlin or anywhere else like that, just try and see if you can get these at a Christmas market, or I guess if you find yourself in a more rural farmers market, they might have stuff like it there. But yeah, generally, really, really pleased with this. Admittedly, while it is accompanied by a sense of somberness that well, we're not going to get any more of it. So,
Well, we can only hope that the extremely talented people from Whiskyland Oranienburg don't give up on their dreams of running a successful distillery, and that they one day come back to us. So, yeah, I'll raise a glass to the people of Whiskyland Oranienburg.
Yes, thank you, Whiskyland Oranienburg. Whether or not we see you again, thank you for all the wonderful drinks and the memories, of course. So, to everyone at home, hope you had a great time. To everyone at Whiskyland Oranienburg, thank you for the memories, and if you want to check out anything else I do online, I will leave the links to my social medias and my other bits and bobs in the video description down below. But if you liked this video, leave a like, share and subscribe, and suggest any suggestions for either drinks for this review show, or either future video formats, or just anything else that might have come across your mind in the comments section down below. And until next time, have fun, stay safe with whatever you're doing, don't do anything we wouldn't do, like smashing a shot glass on the floor. Just realised I'm going to have to buy another one. And until next time, have fun, stay safe, and we'll see you guys at the bar next time on Ted's Booze Cellar. Bye bye for now.
Cheers.
Dankeschön.